Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. I do have one quick favor before we get to the video that you came here for, and that is very simply this. You see that little red subscribe button below this video? Go ahead, smash that subscribe button. It really does help me. It really does help this channel grow and my audience grow. So go ahead and hit that red subscribe button. And now, here is the video that you came here for. All right, really quick, last topic I want to get to break. After the break, reminder, I'm going to talk Tennessee, Kentucky, which I thought was a fascinating game. I do want to talk a little bit about Clemson because I had an interesting thought on them. And I'll probably wrap on a little Florida State, which is a great story. But I do want to talk a little bit about the Arkansas Razorbacks. And the Arkansas Razorbacks, it was funny. I went through a lot of the stuff that I did around this time last year. And I literally made a point to say, like, I don't generally talk about the Arkansas Razorbacks, but they are so bad that I have to talk about this team. And so I was talking about them at this time last year. And for people who don't remember, they were abysmal. They went 2-10 last year, 0-8 in the SEC. Chad Morris was fired. Year before, 2-10, 0-8 in the SEC in Chad Morris's first year. The year before that was Brett Bielema's last year, where they went 4-8 and 1-7 in the SEC. And so you fast forward that to 2020. They are now 2-2, and in a 10-game SEC schedule, 2-2 in the SEC. They are currently ahead of LSU in the SEC standings. And if we're being honest, and let's all be honest here, people, we're all friends. They should be 3-1 because they got screwed against Auburn last week. And so I think when you look at Arkansas, a team that I think we all thought was going to go 0-10, maybe 1-9, to be where they are at 2-2 and they should be 3-1, I can't help but think one thing. This is the best story in college football right now, the Arkansas Razorbacks. And there's other great stories. I think what Florida State is doing is incredible. I think Alabama reviving and rebuilding itself. You know, you look at Coastal Carolina's a really good story. BYU's a really good story. I don't know that there is any better story in college football than Arkansas. In terms of the games itself, listen, we all know the deal. The story is the defense. The story is Barry Odom. For people who don't remember, Barry Odom was Missouri's head coach last year. Didn't really work out. Didn't feel like he was head coach material. But man, can this guy call a defense. Week 1 against Georgia, I thought they actually played really well. The dam broke late because Arkansas just ran out of gas. But week 2, Mississippi State coming off a 44-point performance at LSU. Arkansas holds them to 14 points. They win 21-14. First SEC win in 2.5 years. Next week against Auburn, we know what happened. It was a disaster. Auburn shouldn't have won. This week, they're playing against Ole Miss, coming off a 48-point performance against Nick Saban's defense, whatever. Let me start over. 48-point performance against Nick Saban's defense. Arkansas holds them to 21 points, 7 turnovers. And even the 21 points is kind of fluky because Ole Miss converted a huge fake punt, which set up a touchdown that shouldn't have been a touchdown. I mean, they basically held Lane Kiffin's offense, which has been scoring 40 a game on everybody, to 14 points. They end up with 21 points, and they win. And so I think this is the best story, not just because of the win-loss record, but because of what I was saying a minute ago. And to really understand, I know I just said, 2.5 years since they had won an SEC game. One SEC win since 2017, since the start of 2017. But to me, it goes deeper than that. And let me explain why. Because it wasn't just that Arkansas was losing games, right? It was that they were getting embarrassed at this time last year. And I forgot how bad it was until I went back and looked at some of the final scores. They lost by 41 points to Auburn at home last year. They played Bama the week after Tua got hurt for the first time, so Tua was not playing. They were a 32-point underdog It was 38-0 at halftime against the backup, who was Mac Jones, who's pretty good. Going to defend Mac Jones because I just did. They were down 38-0 at halftime, and that was when I went on my infamous Chad Morris has a play sheet the size of Ecuador, and this team can't block or tackle or do the fundamental things. And then finally there was the game against Western Kentucky where they got smoked by Western Kentucky, which led to Chad Morris getting fired. And for people who don't remember the details on that one, I looked it up. 35-7, they were down at halftime against Western Kentucky. And so when I look back at Arkansas, I think it's very fitting to look back and then look forward to what's based on what Sam Pittman, the new head coach, said at his press conference on Saturday after the win against Ole Miss. What Sam Pittman said was point blank, people from Arkansas are a proud people, and this team did not make them proud in previous years. That was Sam Pittman's quote, not mine, but I thought it was very fitting when you look back at what Arkansas was, what they are now. And so in addition to the Barry Odom stuff, which I just mentioned, I got to give so much credit to Sam Pittman. If Arkansas as a team is the best story, Sam Pittman, early frontrunner for SEC Coach of the Year, early frontrunner for National Coach of the Year. What this guy has done with this program is incredible. Because to take over a program in an offseason like this, with no spring practice, you don't get to know your guys, no fall camp, and to have them playing like this is unbelievable. But really, it even goes back further to when this guy was hired. Because think about it, and if you don't follow college football day to day, let me give you a quick rundown. Arkansas fires Chad Morris. They do so in hopes of getting a jump on everybody else that might be looking for a new head coach. There's a time where they think they're getting Lane Kiffin. They go through all the other candidates. I believe at one point Mike Norvell was a hot name who's now at Florida State. I believe Mike Leach at one point was at least in the conversation. They get none of them, and they end up with this guy, Sam Pittman, who has never been a college head coach, who was a offensive line coach at Georgia. And I'm not going to lie. And I know this, and Arkansas fans, don't be offended, but it's the truth. You guys, for a moment in time, felt like the laughingstock of college football. I'm not saying that's fair, but I've had people in the media from Arkansas tell me, like, how did we end up with this offensive line coach? Well, as it turns out, here's why. It's because all the players who have ever played for him went to bat for him and said, this is the guy. This is the dude that is going to change the program around. Everybody loves him. Everybody respects him. Guys will play hard for him. And oh, by the way, which has been proven, he doesn't have an ego in who gets the credit. And so he went out and got two really good coordinators, Barry Odom and Kendall Briles. And Barry Odom's defense is phenomenal this year. And Sam Pittman is the guy who's overseeing it all, but he's the head coach and he's getting all the credit. And oh, by the way, the same guy that got hired only when Lane Kiffin went to Ole Miss, only when Mike Norvell went to Florida State, and Mike Leach that doesn't appear as though he seriously considered Arkansas. Well, guess what? We thought it was going to be Lane Kiffin at Arkansas. Sam Pittman just beat him. We thought it was going to be Mike Leach maybe at Arkansas. Sam Pittman just beat him. Okay, I don't know if we ever thought Mike Leach was going to be the coach at Arkansas, but whatever. Ole Miss and Mississippi State, we all thought they nailed their coaching hires, that they were the greatest, and Sam Pittman just beat both of them. And so I just give so much credit to this guy for believing in himself, for believing in this program, and for, you know what else? For saying it can be done, and it can be done right now. Because the crazy thing about Chad Morris was every time he lost a game, oh, you know, this is a process. It's going to take time. We need more time. Sam Pittman came in and said, I think I can win with this team right now. And he has Arkansas 2-2, should be 3-1, and they are, in my opinion, the best story in college football right now.